Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're looking at Polestar. Why is the Polestar share still down approximately 52% over the past year? Even after raising 5.5% this past week, Polestar Automotive UK still down roughly around 52%. But why is this? And an even bigger question, are shareholders starting to become impatient with the company, with Polestar? Recently, we've been seeing other companies such as Rivian do extraordinarily well, and Polestar is still doing better than Rivian in terms of delivery. But when you look at it globally, which company is more popular, Polestar or Rivian? Rivian is obviously more popular, especially in the USA, which is primarily where a lot of this is based off of. Rivian is only delivering vehicles in the United States. Polestar is delivering vehicles almost everywhere. And while both companies are continuing to grow in delivery numbers and popularity, Rivian is still vastly more popular than Polestar. In places like the United States, Rivian is perhaps in the top 5 most popular EV company. And I can guarantee you, Polestar is probably not in that list. Polestar is probably top 6, top 7. But for Rivian, for a company who only started delivering vehicles last year, their rise in popularity is actually insane. Rivian has actually rode that Tesla hype, and they've managed to capitalize on many things. Not to mention, the particular investors that have been investing in Rivian have been key, such as Amazon. That's a big contract and a big investor for Rivian. Not to mention Ford. Both are American companies. Rivian has been linked with other American companies, so it's great for its popularity. Polestar, on the other hand, vastly different. Apart from Geely and Volvo, name me one other major company that's investing in Polestar, except for a few financial institutions. But I think you get what I mean. They're different in popularity. And one of the reasons Rivian is doing so well is because of its popularity and because people are actually starting to realize the vehicles are really good. That's second. Third, the stocks is actually undervalued. The delivery numbers are actually ramping up at a great pace. They're looking to more than double their delivery numbers this year. They delivered 20,000 last year. They're looking to deliver 50,000 this year. Polestar was supposed to deliver between 80,000 to 100,000 vehicles this year. But at the start of the year, they reduced those numbers to around 60 to 70,000. So essentially, Rivian is moving at a much greater pace compared to Polestar for now. And if you were to ask me which company will deliver 100,000 vehicles first, I would still say Polestar, because they have the help of Geely and Volvo. But if you were to ask me which company will deliver 250,000 vehicles first, it would be Rivian. 250,000 vehicles have always been Polestar target. But I think at this moment, with the drive that Rivian have, they have the potential to deliver 250,000 vehicles before Polestar. And big investors can see that. Rivian is on its own. Rivian is independent, which means that they can do basically anything they want. And they have a huge amount of funding. They have so much money, it is unbelievable. They're unstoppable at this moment if they continue to have this sort of funding. While Polestar, on the other hand, they're tied to their parent company, Volvo. So if Volvo says something, that's what Polestar have to do. So Polestar is moving along slowly, but that is because that's what Volvo wanted to do. Everything that Volvo is doing right now with Polestar, it's all strategic, and they're moving slowly on purpose. They've delayed their vehicles to make sure that these vehicles are perfected at the best for the customers. Rivian's a different story. They're independent. They do whatever they want. But Polestar can't just do whatever they want. It's tied to another company. And this has always been a worrying factor for a lot of investors. Well, do I want to invest in a company that's tied to another company? If Volvo does bad, Polestar will most likely do bad as well. So it's not always the best. But if Volvo does well, Polestar is most likely going to do well as well. So it's all in the matter of, do you trust in Volvo? That would make you invest in Polestar. Unfortunately, today, a lot of investors are seeing greater opportunities and more freedom opportunities out there than Volvo and Polestar. They're not tied to another company such as Geely. Rivian is not tied to any other companies such as Geely. Yes, Amazon and Ford have invested, but majority is still under the Rivian company and leadership. They're still independent, and that for some investors is a better opportunity. Especially when customers are happy with the vehicle, when they're working on the R2 platform that will have R2 vehicles, different sort of vehicles that will be much cheaper for the general market. Yes, Rivian is in the prime position to capitalize on many different factors. So while last year have been tough for Polestar, shareholders especially, this week has shown signs of promise. I'd say it's more than this week. I'd say it's been for the past few weeks, at least for the past 3 weeks, possibly a month. The shares have shown some signs of resurgence, especially given the fact that the share is finally up above, stabilized, I would say, above $4. That was a good move, I'd say, definitely. So given that Polestar didn't make a profit in the last 12 months, we'll focus on revenue growth to form a quick view of its business development. So I'm reading this article from Yahoo Finance. They've got some key insights in this, and I just want to share them with everyone. So when a company doesn't make profit, we generally expect to see revenue growth. That's because it's hard to be confident in a company. Will it sustain growth? Will it sustain revenue? Or will it never make a profit? So in the last year, of course, Polestar saw a 68% growth in revenue. That's well above most of the pre-profit companies. Meanwhile, the shares have slid 52%. So why is that? It doesn't really make full sense. One of the general reasons is just because people are undervaluing the company. People actually don't see the full potential of this company, not quite yet. However, Rivian has always had a big buzz about Rivian. There's nothing new. I've been hearing about Rivian for the past 5-6 years. It's been a big, crazy buzz about Rivian. The amount of investment they've had, the amount of popularity, the amount of noise that have been made about Rivian, it's no surprise. And Rivian was hitting the market at a particular time when new EV companies were just showing up out of nowhere. So reading this article here, it says, given the stocks of shares have slid about 52%, this could mean hype has come out of the stock because of the bottom line concerning investors. Generally speaking, investors would consider a stock like this less risky once it turns a profit. But when do you think this will happen? So let's look at the chart below, of course. You can see below how earnings and revenues have changed over the past year. So the blue line is revenue. That's revenue, by the way. So revenue is going up because they're delivering more vehicles. That makes sense. However, earning it's not been the best. Free cash flow, it's not been the best, and cash from operation has not been the best. It's just been quite steady. If anything, I'd say it's been less than steady, because if you look at cash from operation and if you look at free cash flow, both of those have slightly gone down in terms of 2023. And that hasn't been good for investors. If you look at earnings, you can see that it's gone up just a little bit, but going into 2024 and 2025, it's looking to plateau a little bit more. But of course, things could change even more dramatically. So there's a lot of uncertainties. Yes, revenue is going up, but if profits are not going up, investors don't really like that. However, this is a strategic move by Polestar and Volvo. They're not particularly worried about profit right now because they're just trying to build as much vehicles as possible and ramp up the factories as much as possible. Their only concern about profit is the fact that low profits does affect the stocks. So they're quite concerned about that. But they're not concerned about it long term. Volvo has always been a very good, profitable company long term. They'll continue to do that with their electric vehicles, and they want to do that with Polestar as well. And like I always say, it all depends on if you trust in Volvo. Look at Volvo's history. Look at what they've done as a company, and look at what they're about to do in the future as well. I'd say people are underestimating both companies, Volvo and Polestar. And this is why Volvo wanted to make a separate company called Polestar, because they wanted to split up the brand. They wanted to make a brand that is more appreciated for its style, the speed, the sporty cars. While Volvo has always had a reputation for the safest cars, but they can be a little bit boring. Volvo wanted to create a new company for luxury, excellence, and not to mention elegance. They wanted to compete with the likes of Porsche, Audi, BMW, and Mercedes. They're doing that with the new Volvos, and they'll be doing that with the Polestars as well. And let me just remind everyone, despite the fact that the stock price is going down, in June this year, deliveries were up 73% year over year. Polestar achieved its best ever second quarter, delivering approximately over 15,800 vehicles. That's almost 16,000 vehicles. Q4 this year, I believe at least Q3, we're looking at 20,000 vehicles. Q4, we'd probably be looking at another 20,000, if not 25,000 vehicles. That on its own is already 40 to 45,000 vehicles. So I'd say they're on pace to hitting their target this year. And Polestar, the underestimating thing about Polestar is that they're only delivering one vehicle. Rivian is delivering 2 vehicles. Most companies are delivering more than one vehicle. That's one of the most damaging things to the brand currently, is that they've only got one vehicle available to the mass market. But imagine how well they will be doing when they're delivering the Polestar 4 and the Polestar 3 as well. They'll be doing even better. That's the thing. You have to think long term. They're only delivering one vehicle. Their entire company right now relies on one vehicle, the Polestar 2. So this makes the brand easily underestimated. Keep that in mind. Please keep that in mind. So with record global deliveries around 27,900 vehicles for the first 6 months of this year, almost 30,000 vehicles. Yeah, I think they're on target this year. Polestar is on track to deliver 60 to 70,000 vehicles in 2023. That is it for this video. Hope you appreciated it. Hope you liked it. Thank you for watching. Subscribe and I'll see you in our next video.